John 4:22. Vos adoratis quod nescitis, nos adoramus quod scimus, quia salus ex Judaiis est. You worship that which you do not know. We worship that which we do know, since salvation is from the Jews. Here is Jesus continuing his discourse with the Samaritan woman, and in this particular verse, he's answering some of the charges she's raised about the differences between Jews and Samaritans and their worship. And so we get a very nice contrast between the second person plural, here not just the Samaritan woman, but the Samaritans in general, and the first person plural, here not just Jesus, but the Jews in general, the inhabitants of Judea. And we get corresponding forms of nescio and skio, which mean opposite things, as well as a nice explanation of the reasons for the two different patterns of worship here. So let's look at this each in turn. Vos adoratis quod nescitis, nos adoramus quod scimus. First thing we can note here is that these pronouns aren't strictly necessary. He could simply have said adoratis and adoramus, and the meaning would be clear enough in Latin. But in cases like this, the use of the pronoun adds a lot of emphasis and especially contrast. And you can hear it. Vos adoratis quod nescitis. And we might even have expected here said, an adversative particle. But, on the other hand, contrastingly, nos adoramus, we worship quod scimus, that which we know. Now, we've talked before about how nescio and skio are opposites. You can think of nescio as non-skio, not to know something or to be ignorant. By the way, it's worth mentioning, as we have, I think, before, that if you want to say, I know how to do something, or I don't know how to do something, in Latin we express that. I'll just put ne skio. This works with nescio or skio, plus infinitive. I do not know how to walk, for instance, would be nescio ambulare. In Latin, we don't need the adverb how as we do in English. We can simply say, literally, I do not know to walk. I do not know how to swim. I do not know how to speak, etc. So that's not really relevant to this passage. It's just a helpful thing to remember with these words. But this is a beautiful, nice contrast. We might expect some punctuation in between, but as often in the Vulgate, we don't get it. You worship, adoro, adorare, to worship, to pay obeisance to someone or something. You all, the Samaritans, and then look at the second person plural ending here. This is a nice first conjugation verb. Okay, so this should take you back to laudo, laudare, and words like that you learned long ago. Vos adoratis quod nescitis. Quod here is the object, the accusative neuter singular object of adoratis. You all worship that which, it's also the accusative object of nescitis. You all worship that thing which you do not know. We worship that which we do know, positively. And then here's the key word, since, quia, acting in a causal way here. Salus is from the Judaiis, from the Jews. Now, salus is an interesting word in Latin. Often it means something like it does here, salvation or even deliverance. But sometimes it has a more mundane meaning like safety or health. And in fact, it's often part of the formula that Romans would use when they wrote each other letters. Let's say I was writing to my friend Marcus. I would say Tegularius. That's the Roman version of my name, the Latin version I should say. Tegularius Marco in the dative, SPD. And that stands for Tegularius Marco salutem plurimam dat. That is to say, Tyler wishes to Marcus, or gives to Marcus, lots of health, lots of good wishes for his health. something like that. So that's a frequent formula that you find, and there's various variations that the Romans used on that phrase, but that's a very common letter opening formula. So maybe that will help you remember salos in the future.